Psychology in Seattle.
So throughout our life, we have different developmental milestones that we pass through, different moments in our life that we might call developmental milestones, moments that our life takes a turn or moments that are particularly meaningful to us. And when we think back on our life and we think, okay, what are the developmental milestones in our life? I'm guessing that a few things come to mind. And if you're listening to this, I encourage you to think about your own developmental milestones as we talk about this. And the reason why I want to talk about this today is because a listener to the podcast, Derek, who's been on the podcast before, is in school and he has an assignment that he's working on. And part of his assignment is he needs to interview someone about a developmental milestone. And so he asked me to interview me about a developmental milestone. And I thought, well, as usual, with everything I do, why not make a podcast about it? This is the Psychology in Seattle podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kirk Honda. I am chair of the Couple and Family Therapy program at Antioch University, Seattle, and I'm also a licensed marriage and family therapist. This episode is for patrons of the podcast, so if you're listening to this and you're not a patron of the podcast, this episode will end before the content begins. If you want to hear the full episode, you have to become a patron of the podcast by going to patreon.com. That's patreon.com and pledging a certain amount of funds per month to become a patron of the podcast.